And welcome. You are with the Skeinz Diaries as she finishes her last two stitches. I'm Maree. It is Thursday, the 28th of November, and it's now last Thursday of the month, which is the Get Flocked day of the month. And sitting looking all very relaxed and chilled from his living
Kia
room.
ora.
Hello,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Just, here in the knit lounge, as it were.
Yes.
Just, few needle sets just casually everywhere. Like, oh, yikes. There's so much yarn in this room, you have no idea.
I could imagine though, we were just literally saying just before we got started, the beautiful thing about Ethan doing this at home, of course, is all his hand knits are at home, aren't they?
Yeah,
He doesn't have to worry about taking them to
my
work.
knits, my stash, it's so easy.
And you're
And
like me, God, it's chilly.
oh, it's chilly. Yeah, the heat pump is on. I'm sitting directly across from our heat pump, which is part of why I'm right here today, so that I can experience it blowing around. It's like 8 degrees gray as gray. It's like
Yeah,
spring was here and then it just
just it
dipped
appeared
out
again.
again.
I know.
Not
I know.
nice.
The last few days, because of course we got all this rain that came through, and it
Mhm.
was so it's actually just cleared here now. But we've had a couple of days of really full-on intense rain, so that has certainly, I think, people in the upper half of the North Island have done a bit of knitting the last little bit
Ooh,
because the weather has been so bad. It's been a thing. It's been an absolute thing. So, no, it has been really, really chilly. But that's okay because, we're knitters, so we do
yeah.
chilly. It's all good.
Oh no, I've gotten a lot done over the past few days. It's been very productive.
Oh, brilliant. So what are you
So,
working on there? That's very orange.
yes. So this is the incognito in melon,
Ooh,
as it were.
you're
Or
finishing that off.
yeah, I'm just getting this done. It's not intentional anybody. It's just this is my current whip. Um, I've been working on it and talking about it for quite a while. I run that Frog It or Finish It challenge every September, and I finished one thing already, which was the What the Fade shawl by Andrea Mowry, and I ended up frogging the Brioche Chevron shawl by Stephen West. And then I've got two more pullovers, so this pullover and another one. In between them, they need about 3 whole sleeves knit. And I got this out today because my hands are just tired. I've knit so much 4-ply. So yeah, just chipping away. And just in case anyone's wondering, when I say so much 4-ply, I mean so, ooh, Yeti cup, much
Oh,
4-ply on a 3.25 millimeter needle and a 6 skein shawl on a 3.25 millimeter needle. So
yeah.
I just needed a little break from this thin yarn, dense gauges. So I'm just taking a little break with this. That's what's happening.
Oh, and it's sometimes too, it's just nice to,
Oh yeah. Well, I've been doing so much stockinette. One of the things when you work in knitwear design is you knit a lot of stockinette. And so it's nice to be cabling. It's someone else's pattern, so I don't have to think they've done that for me. And yeah, it's just nice and relaxing.
lovely. Well, you'll be pleased to
Yeah.
know
Mm.
that I actually wasn't going to bring it in, but I did bring it in because we look.
Yes, look at it go. Oh,
So that's what I was just look at that. Look at that striping on that
perfect
sleeve.
striping. Oh
Oh
my
my gosh.
goodness.
Um, this is so I'm now literally just done the round, so I'm onto the decrease and then the cuffs. So I need to do that on the
Mm-hmm.
weekends at home. But it's looking,
Mm.
I think it's looking good.
I think it looks great for a love note.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, could you just a little some more
yeah.
sarcasm, darling? Just a little
Well,
bit more.
hey, I mean, I woke up on the right side of the bed this morning. What can I say? Um,
No, I'm really, really happy. And so I
it's
will
looking
get
a
on.
lot more structurally sound than most of the other love notes, that's for sure.
Well, isn't it funny? I decided, shocker, that I would actually knit it without modifications.
This doesn't sound right.
I
Are you
know.
feeling okay?
Well, I just suddenly thought I haven't done it with fluff, and I
Is
thought, well,
Claire there? Can she check your temperature for me?
I know, I know. But then, of course, I get she gives me grief because I've done it in two yarns that yarns that we've got. I mean, I've used a standard 4-ply and I've used
A
our with the
standard
fine,
book, yeah.
but of course they're not. We don't have these colours in stock. I mean, one of them is, limited
Mm.
edition from Deep Stash, and the other one is from the fabulous Sue Goodley. So,
You're a shocker.
I know, but that's right. This is so, but I'm really, really happy, uh, and gosh, and I didn't think I would be able to wear it, but the way the temperature's going, I am.
I know. Well, now
And
I'm feeling a rush to get this
I've
done.
actually gone back a size too, but I'm loving the fabric.
Mm.
I really do love, and as you can see, it's color coordinated. I did it because it was color coordinated to here.
Made it match the studio. Look at that.
I know. So I'm actually really, and I have to say, as much as you have displeasure with it, it is a quick nut.
It is a quick knit. I will give you that. I mean, I have a stack of really, you know me, I love a budget-friendly knit. That's my main goal in life. So I've been doing some knitting. So actually, this is Bibliophile by Alicia Plummer. This is Bibliophile 3. So we have Flocktober's coming up next month. Feel free to get involved if you want. One of the things that we're doing, one of our categories for this year is Alicia Plummer. They're just nice classic designs. There's nothing to them. There's nowhere to get lost. And the good news is I ended up finishing that entire shift extravaganza.
Oh,
so the
you cast,
cowl
that's
is
the one
all
you cast on a
finished.
can, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I did the hat. And of course, we've all seen ad nauseum the shift again cardigan, which is all finished. There we go. There's a good example of how all those colors came out. And then last and certainly not least, we hammered out a quick night shift show. So I think it's a reasonable amount of knitting, everyone. This is a sane and rational approach to this, okay? So I just want all of you to know you can actually knit entire color coordinating sets in all spin cycle. It's a not. Just put those away now.
But see, I'm glad you did the spin cycle because, of course,
yes.
and I'm just going to move the camera there. There it is. That is the Ratio poncho,
Look
which
at it. Ready
I
to
know.
go.
I know. Well, Ethan was there with when I was finishing the one for Can. So he's seen that
Came
one.
out beautifully.
I know. And I finally got this chicken scratch down, and Delene, bless her heart, has whipped this jobby up for me, and we've done it in the full striping. It doesn't need to be in the full striping. And I'm about to send you guys out a newsletter today. It'll come out this afternoon. Just about getting ready for this. I've decided to do a knit along with it. Just a bit of fun. And I've already pulled over the weekend, you may have seen, or early in the week, you may have seen some ideas that I've pulled together, ones I've already done, and just little layouts, little table lays of just sort of thoughts and ideas.
Bits and pieces.
Well, what I like about this poncho is that it's called the Ratio poncho because it's designed in ratios, and it is all I've given you is a basic framework for you to let your creativity go a bit crazy.
Right.
Okay. Color, texture, it's entirely up to you. And that's
Get
where
out those unicorn skeins.
exactly. And if you've got some spin cycle, or you've been itching to do some spin cycle, but you only want a skein or two, or that's where the budget's at. Have you got in the dream state? Go on.
Well, no, not in dream state.
No?
I know that you can play with the gauge of your Ratio poncho quite a bit.
Yep.
And I actually have something else other than dream state.
Ooh, what's it?
This is plump. So this is their bulky weight.
And you can use bulky weight. That's perfect.
Yeah, so this is plump. Now these colors are grayed out because of the weather today. So this guy's called Vibe Check and this one's Castaway. I think we're sold out of Castaway. This is from my stash because I'm at home. But we have lots of Vibe Check. So what this does is it is a long, slow color repeat exploded into a super giant scale. And so this works just the same way as the dyed in the wool. So that's their sport weight one, which this guy here is all dyed in the wool. And so it does these long, slow color repeats. It would be a great way to use in a stripe, or you could go down to the DK / worsted weight here. So this probably knits up exactly equivalent to our 8 ply, everybody, which is slightly thicker than most DKs, but slightly lighter than worsted, really. And so this is the dream state. So that's how it repeats. And you can see that while it stripes, it has a more marled overall texture to it. And that's because instead of a 2-ply construction in a fractal ply long sew repeat, it is a 3-ply construction. So yes, anyway, there's one of the fun things that you can look at. And we do also have a great example of 1,000 colors of one.
Well, the neat thing, I'm glad you've got the plump there, because the neat thing about the plump, and actually I'm just going to spin this. There we go. Move this a little closer so you can see. So as you can see there, is that we have these single stripes here, right?
Oh,
this
yes.
is where that's perfect, because this is essentially only 2 rows that you're doing. And it just means, and because you can, if you wanted to, you could only, in my initial poncho, I only did color up to about here, and then did the rest in one color and matched it on the other side. So only 1 or 2 skeins will give you that pop of color, and then you can just pick a really beautiful neutral to let the plump shine.
And these will kind of stripe for you guys. So like on top of you doing 2-row stripes, because of the length of the color repeat, you'll get stripes out of it as well. So it's 2 sets of stripes for the price of 1, really. It's nice to see simple patterns coming back that just let the yarn do the work.
Yeah. That's what I wanted with this. And if you've got 2, and the other yarn as well, if you've got it home in stash and you're sort of watching your pennies at the minute, if you bought some of the MKAL, the Southland MKAL,
yes, that's a great place to use it.
Perfect for the color stripes in this. If you've got a couple of balls of that floating around, but you just need some Southlander to grab in between, grab the Southlander while it's still on special through till Monday is the last day, and then you can do that. That will be a great way of doing it. Or you've got that Southlander MKAL, and then pick up, and if it's a little toothy for you, just grab
some
something.
mohair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or grab something softer, like one of the merinos that we've got on sale, and just use that. So you've got the majority of it in the softness. Use the Southlander for a bit of striping, and the overall softness of it will just, take over.
Well, the other thing is too, if you're doing any finishing around your neckline, you can use those toothier yarns. If you're making this poncho as kind of an outer garment, pick up a nice soft, so like this is the natural 8-ply, which will knit up great with a Southlander, and you could pick up and just knit like a doubled collar like this, even around, once you've sewn the edge of that poncho down, you can knit a collar into that. You could do a big dramatic cowl neck with it. That would be fantastic. And a contrasting color too. Why not?
Well, that's the designer's coming out with a big cowl neck collar.
Oh, perfect. Great. So I got cowl neck?
Yeah, so that's the collar it's going to come out with. But here's the neat thing: if you're not an in the round person, you're looking at that collar going, don't panic, because you can knit it flat if you want to. And as Ethan said, if you're a work it flat person, well, then you just knit it, and it's easy enough to actually pick up, do a basic ribbed collar flat. All you need, and I've got instructions in there, all you need to do is mark where the beginnings and ends are, pick those stitches up before you sew up the side seam, and Bob's your uncle, finish your aunt. The initial poncho, I knit the entire initial poncho, the Albertine one, which I'll dig out of my wardrobe and bring back into work. I knit that entire poncho using a 6mm straight needle that I bought from an op shop. And I did that because I wanted to prove that it could be done. So I know. That's how I roll. So that's what we're going to be doing, and I'm going to gather together a whole heap of little prizes and some fun stuff, and just have some fun with it. If you've got little scrappy bits left over, if you've been doing the finish it and frog it, and you've got lots of little fun pieces there, and you want to incorporate that in, just do it.
So I have a fun story for all of you, and Maree knows this about me. I have a tendency, when I'm done with yarn, to just throw it in the rubbish. Like, everyone's always asking me, oh, bring in your odds and ends. I don't have odds and ends because I'm done with it. It's gone. Like, that's waste yarn now. So I have a bag of some spin cycle leftovers, but everything else either gets bagged regularly and given away, or I just chuck it in the rubbish. So the frog it or finish it, 2-color brioche, 3.25 millimeter needle, 1 by 1 with increases and decreases on every right side row. So I just pulled it off the needles and cut the yarn and threw the whole thing in the bin, obviously, because that's my approach. Someone found it and started freaking out because I had used some hedgehog fiber in it, which I love hedgehog fiber, but I have a lot of hedgehog fiber. So like anyway, someone spent like an hour undoing the 2-color brioche and reballing it and then handed me back the yarn. And I was like, and I just put it back in the bin. They're like, what? I'm like, I didn't want that. So you also might not have scraps from Frog or Finish It, depending on who you are, apparently.
Yeah. Everyone else out there who's not Ethan does. I mean, this is also the man, remember, who will always cast on a sleeve with a new ball, regardless if you've even still got half a ball of the one existing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to weave in an extra end, everyone. I'm helping you.
Exactly. Oh, Barbara's come up with a great idea. Knit the collar flat in terms of the shawl collar, the big KAL collar. Knit the collar flat and put some nice buttons in it to fasten. Barbara, that's a brilliant idea. That is a brilliant idea. And this is the thing with the knit along, you see. I mean, when I put the pattern out, it is essentially, it's called the Ratio poncho. It's going to be like a guide. This is Maree here. I mean, it's taken me 7 years to basically have Delene give me a boot up the arse, and she did my chicken scratch for me, and so I could, tweak it and get it out to you. I know, good things take time, but it's designed to be like how I do it, which is a rough guide. So it's a bit like when you're going to go somewhere and someone goes, oh, how do I get to so-and-so's? And you go, oh, look, you go down 2 streets. Then when you get to the big tree, turn left, and then go down another 2. And then when you see such and such as turn right. And then if you've gone to here, you've gone too far. It's a bit like that.
We make very different patterns.
It's not, it's designed for you to just let your creative juice. There is no right or wrong with it. So this is how
that is beautiful. That is beautiful.
This is me. And Chardonnay's always involved. Better Designs by Chardonnay.
I might have some news about that. I might have had you some labels made that say Designs by Chardonnay. I'm just waiting for them to arrive. You're welcome. You needed them. You needed them. I had to get them. So Maree and I have a very different approach to pattern writing. Yes. If you want to make a ribbed hat that turns out precisely the same every single time, have I got a pattern for you, it turns out. So I think I only knit one of these. Kathy knit these 2 for me. Let's all be honest about this situation. But do you know that I have made, and you know this, but it didn't occur to me, I have made a simply ridiculous amount of hat patterns over the years.
Yeah, you have. You love yourself a good hat.
I really do. And I own a disturbing number of hats. Like whatever you think is too many hats, double it. And you're probably about halfway there. I think I've got like 40 or 50 hats.
Oh, whoa.
I wear a lot of hats.
But also I've said this before. What I love about hats, and you holding that up, what I've said about hats are a great way when you design to actually test out if you want to test a yarn. Like if I've got a new yarn come in and I want to test it out and see how it performs on different stitches or traveling stitches or, as you say, bobbles or cables or what have you, a hat's a perfect way to do it. It's like this little mini microcosm, and generally you can get away with using one skein. So
so this takes about exactly 1 skein of an Aran weight or 10-ply yarn. This is my Fletcher hat. This is the original design sample. Fun fact, never weave your ends in on your original design samples if you're watching from home. It's something I've learned over the years. You're going to have to do things to them eventually, and you need to be able to take them apart. This was a really interesting experience in design. I think for those who have knitted, it's a very interesting experience. So where Maree is giving you a really good guide, a basic roadmap to construct your own series of ratio ponchos and be free into the world, this is as far away from that as you could possibly get. Every single stitch in this pattern in each row is carefully accounted for with a series of charts. There's never any questions. And when it comes to my patterns, there frequently is a wrong way to do it. So that's just, there's a fun compare and contrast between the 2 of us as designers. which I think is quite humorous. I also, just so you know, like when I write a hat pattern, this one comes with like 8 different hats in one pattern because it's all just
Mm.
lengths and ratios. So in the same way that Maree's pattern functions on the length and ratio, you can literally apply what you're going to learn from this poncho making process to other patterns, right? Like I think that's one of the things that we are not as good about talking about is that a poncho is a really great place to start to understand the really basic nitty gritty of grading,
Yeah.
like the way in which lengths and widths relate to each other at different points in a garment. So while you're playing with it, I would encourage you guys to take this knit along as an opportunity to start, fiddling with some other patterns if you haven't already, because I still can't believe that you've knit that love note without modification.
I
Just
know.
it seems
Stranger things might
suspicious.
have happened. I know, it is suspicious.
Very suspicious.
It is, but I mean, that's all right. Instead of you being EBE forever, I reckon you need to be OCD forever.
Oh, no, 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 no. What are you talking about? I
Ah.
what what do you mean? Ooh, yikes. I definitely don't have entirely matching drinkware scattered through my entire house that's color coordinated for each room.
Oh, I nearly laughed. Because I had to talk to Ethan about something the other day, and we were talking, and he was standing in his kitchen. And as he's
Hmm.
standing in his kitchen, I glanced around and I thought, oh my gosh, because I've seen the drink bottle and the 2 drink bottles he's got there. And then I thought, of course, the toaster and the coffee machine and everything.
And the blender, it's all color coordinated.
It did not go unnoticed.
And also with the sofa, like the whole, yeah,
As I said, anywho.
it must be an experience living with me, honestly, because like my whole life is like,
That's okay. That's all right.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
now the other good news too for people is that I know a number
hit
of
me.
you missed out on the Cove for 2.95 we did the other day, and
Oh
I
my
said that
God.
I know. Well, we're clearing it. We're clearing it because we've got some new stuff coming in, and it's
Oh,
space.
good.
You know what that's like. You've just
It
got to.
is.
Sometimes
Oh,
you
we
just
just had that whole thing with the Ashford where it was just in the shop. Not that Ashford's not a lovely product or whatever, but
Hmm.
the balls were just so big, I didn't have anywhere to put them.
God, what a dreadful thing to
I
have
know.
a problem with
What a
big balls.
what a challenge. What was I to do with these big balls everywhere?
Oh, family
So
joke.
COVID 295.
Okay, yes. So we've got, as and I know some reached out to Cheryl. We have
Yes.
these are 3 colors, so they're going up today. They're actually colors that we had, but they're actually vastly richer and more intense. So they are going out as limited editions. So we've got 2 DKs and a full play, plus there's some more Rocky Shore, which is the undyed
Mm.
natural that's coming in
Yeah.
as well in both weights. So that will be going up, and it's all going out at 2.95. So if you're wanting to do the poncho, or you're just needing to get some knitting done, and the budget's a bit tight at the minute, that will be perfect for that. So I should actually have that up today, because it's these 3 definitely in. I think the Rocky Shore's coming over on the truck this afternoon, so that is good news. So that will be happening.
I would get after that Cove, everyone. I am a big fan,
Yeah,
honestly.
it's incredible value, because this is just recycled blend. It is well below cost, and particularly if you're wanting to get these lovely dark saturated colors, if you're wanting to get sweater lots done for either yourself and that's the thing with sweater lots, isn't it? This would work actually with the bounce and this 3-ply, and this DK. This would
Hmm.
work in your Aran
Yeah. You could
pullover,
absolutely use that for the basic
no
Aran
problem.
pullover. You'll
Yeah,
get that 21 stitch gauge, no problem.
easy, easy.
And even for one of these bibliophiles guys, so in my size, it took me 14 balls, so 1400 meters to make this. And I
Yeah.
made the 3rd size. If you're looking at the pattern and you're wondering, Bibliophile 3 by Alicia Plummer, 3rd size, 1400 meters. I don't know what the pattern said, mostly because I know how much yarn I need
Mm,
for a jumper. And spoiler alert, I own a yarn shop, so like frequently I just
yeah.
take balls of yarn. Breaking news. Right, I know you're shocked. I can see it on your
What
face.
did you
It's
knit that in?
horrible.
Is that in
This is the natural 8-ply by Wild Earth Yarn.
oh, yeah.
So it's New Zealand half bred, single source. It's insanely soft. I can't believe it. Like with all soft yarns,
Mm.
just remember it will have a little bit of a pilling life cycle. You just have to be aware of it.
Yeah.
It's super easy to manage. If you like the machine option, Maree most likely is the sweater shavers. You always have them, thank God.
Yeah, they're back in stock actually. So yeah.
Perfect. And I've got gleaners. So whichever option you like, if you're a sweater shaver guru, because I know some people who can really just get a whole sweater depilled in no time with those. I, however, require a gleaner. I pretend like I depill my own garments, which is also, that's a fun myth to spread, right? I don't depill my own garments.
No,
That does
Emily is
not
a very
happen.
patient woman, is all I have to say.
Yeah. It's a lifestyle choice. So yes, so guys, so this is Bibliophile 3, and I knit size 3. And if anyone is wondering if you have males in your life, I've got about a 40-inch chest with a little bit more heft in my pecs and really big lat muscles. So if you know somebody who's quite V-shaped from the back, they probably have really big lat muscles, and this jumper is cut really well for that, which is not always the
It's got
case.
a nice neckline too. Did you alter the
Yeah.
neck or is that, yeah?
No, this is the neckline from the pattern.
Oh, it's nice.
So
It's
what I
nice.
really like about this for all of our knitters from home, Alicia uses my preferred top-down raglan construction, where you start flat and knit back and forth in rows. And then once you finish the flat knitting portion, you join in the round and then knit downwards. So you have these really clean pickup edges. Even up close, you can see just, it looks so much nicer and neater than your average top-down jumper because you haven't started with the neckline. You come back to pick it up later, and it gives you much more structure up top. And especially when you're putting a raglan onto a male body with big shoulders, you kind of need some structural support up here so that it doesn't just sag open. But yeah, it's just got a very 70s ski chalet vibe.
Yeah.
The whole pattern, she did hers in one of those worsted spun Donegal nep yarns, which I must admit I'm not a big fan of. If it's a tweed or nepped yarn, I want woolen spun. That's my hot take on it. There's reasons for both. Go look them up. John from Laxton's, I think, has done a video series with fruity knitting. Like if you're really curious about that process, go check it out. It's quite neat. But for my money, just a straight wool or wool blend, DK weight, bang it out. Took me 8 days start to finish, which I happen to know for once. And it's a really non-fussy series of patterns. So there's a fingering weight 4-ply version, a DK weight one graded to a woman's proportions, and a DK weight one graded to a man's proportions. And you just won't be sad about it. And for really fussy men, if you're somebody who likes to knit top down and seamlessly, Alicia Plummer is one of the only designers who regularly releases men's patterns.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
that is a very long speech about her, but yeah.
No. But it's important though, because I mean, that's the thing. There are different proportions there. And as much as, I mean, there are patterns, particularly without structure and loads of ease, which can go both ways. And,
that
that's fabulous.
Tecumseh, you and I both could possibly wear the exact same size, right?
Yeah.
But when we get into there's not a lot of really well thought through, well graded patterns for male bodies in knitting. And I think once you hit a certain saturation point of knitting for yourself, a lot of knitters start to want to knit for others or are already accustomed to that and want that in their life cycle. And I think what's really good is she uses the same male model all the time. I believe it's her partner. And she dresses him or he dresses himself for the photo shoots in very identifiable ways that I think men could see themselves in. And so be like, yes, I want that sweater. And she doesn't I hate to be this person because I'm not this person, but some yarns, including yarns I pick occasionally for designs, they're so busy that you can't see the lines and structure. And I would argue that that's a big downside to a lot of modern knitting patterns. And while I love a hand-dyed yarn, I really love to see a garment knit in a hand-dyed yarn and in a commercially dyed yarn. So you've got them side by side. And I don't know. Anyway, there's a big digression, but she does that. So she does that across a lot of her patterns. She'll do a commercially dyed yarn, a hand dyed yarn, a male model, and a female model.
Yeah, that
And
I
yeah.
can see that actually in our Highlander heathers would look
Oh,
amazing in that,
yeah,
because it would give you
it
that
would.
beautiful subtle shift of color, but you would still see all these beautiful clean
Yeah,
lines,
well, and it's well thought through without being complicated. That's just 2 stockinette stitches,
Mm,
you know? Um, yeah. And Barbara brings up a good point. A lot of bigger size female patterns are really poorly graded up too. Yeah.
yeah,
That is a
yeah,
we've talked about this ad
you
nauseum.
have.
Just because things are graded to a 60-inch bust or whichever size is currently on vogue for the largest size, that that's where it starts to get quite difficult to grade for the human body, because the variance in our bodies changes the more that our bodies
Mm,
change. And we know this. So at the very low end of the spectrum and the very high end of the spectrum, it's just that middle bell curve, basically, if you will, which is just a statistical fact where things don't change a lot and male and female bodies
mm.
are more similar. But when we get to the outer edges, it's a lot of variance
Well, and what
instead.
they tend to do is they'll grade up, but they won't. What they don't take into advantage is that if you are full of busted, which I'm not. I mean, I'm very average, but if you're full of busted, and I've got a lot of friends who are, they're full of busted, but they grade up assuming that your shoulders are going to grow in proportion to the size of your boobs, and they
Yeah.
don't. So then you end up having something that will fit your boobs from sort of here, not here, and then the shoulders are all
And so the
over.
question then becomes, right? So, like, when we're talking about this, what you're attempting to do, especially in many of these Raglan styles. Now, what Alicia does that's clever
Yeah.
is she takes advantage of the way tension gets distributed at these Raglan lines. So instead of hiding from it, she leans into it, and she, in her upper sizes, does a steeper grading at the top so that this line is actually flatter and then goes into more of an angle by increasing on the right side and wrong side of the fabric. But because there's already a visual line there, that it's
Mm.
hidden inside of the increases that are already built in.
Yeah.
So you're able to create more fabric more rapidly without distorting the nature of it. And it starts to become a question of, once you understand how a garment is put together in terms of where each of the pieces go, why they're there, then seamlessly or seamed, you can manipulate that quite a bit more.
Mm.
But you can always decrease more stitches without disturbing a fabric than you can increase. So I think, especially when we're considering grading to larger sizes, it is more practical to create better fitting garments
Yeah.
with easier modifications, because you can hop swap out pieces.
Mm.
So, very boring story. I have a fingering weight raglan coming out shortly, and I was doing all this work to make it top down, and I changed my mind halfway through, gasp, and it's bottom up again. But what I've done is I've created a compound raglan length that
Mm.
is standardized across the most standard distance for every body, and I have made the sleeves and the raglans the same lengths,
Yeah.
regardless of the number of stitches contained within them, which means you can swap a sleeve and a back and a front. So you could knit 3, 4, you could actually knit all 4 different pieces to different sizes and seam it together and end up with a garment that fits you. Now,
Yes.
don't do that. That's called overfitting. Pick a sleeve and pick a front and a back.
Yeah.
Don't do what I just said. That's not an instruction, it's an option.
But that's one of the things that Libby did actually in her class in Knit August Nights, and she's done it in previous classes before. And one of Tamsin, who's one of my regulars here, poor old Tam, she always gets modelled with doing this. But what Libby often talks about, she's really big on shoulders and
Yeah.
neckline. And I think it was a shoulder and neckline class. She's really, really big on shoulders and neckline. And I've said this before too, and it was a revelation for me when I discovered this, because for the longest time, I was measuring from down here, whereas I should have been measuring from here. But I also, and actually, when I think about it, when I measure here, that's equidistant to what my shoulder
Yeah.
distance was. And actually measuring your shoulders and fitting to your shoulders is more important. And if you are full in the bust, actually looking at a bust start, if you want actually a better fit around the girls, And for me, I also have the girls, and then I have the mummy tummy, and then I have those extra bits. So for me, I'm quite happy to
But that's
forego
where like a princess line of increases,
exactly.
like if you start right at the
And
yeah,
how often have you seen me do that? Put
exactly.
that princess line in either. And see, that's why I knit Miss Jane a lot, because Miss Jane has that sort of faux type princess line that sits
Hmm.
just here and then swings out from that. Or I've done an A line off to the side to actually stop it from grabbing, because I don't mind it sitting reasonably firmly on the girls, but I don't want it grabbing, on the shard roll. So it's, it's that's that those are all the
Yeah.
little mods that you do, and it may seem crazy, but it does really help with the fit, and it does make a huge difference. But definitely the shoulders, for years, like I didn't do that shoulder fit thing properly.
Oh, that's
And
interesting.
yeah, oh, for years and years and years. And it was, and once I actually figured that out, then I was just away laughing. And that's part of the reason actually I've dropped back a size with this one, because with the Love Note is not that that's an issue, because it's yoked and it's all very
I was
A-line
going to
and
say, and you've got lots of room after
tons
that
of
lace
room.
to add stitches to A-line it out. But so like that is a critical
Yeah.
problem with that love note, right? And like if you enjoy the aesthetic and wearing these garments, you should absolutely knit them. However, if we want to discuss fit as far as being able to manipulate a garment to sit on your body the way that you want, we have to be so careful. Um, then what we're talking about here is how easy is it to manipulate a garment to
Mm.
do that? Round yokes are universally
Easy.
flattering.
Yeah.
So this is a great place. Take those patterns, look at them, and start to play with them. They take 5 seconds to make. And remember what you've done. And you have to think about translating it at gauge and scale.
Mm.
So let's say hypothetically, you've knit 6 love notes,
Mhm.
and each love note you've made an incremental change to. They're fast to knit. Now you can take that information and apply it to something like Trite by Kate Davies, Adelaide by Isabel Kramer, which is knit at that dense, beautiful,
Oh,
long-lasting, durable
beautiful.
gauge.
Yeah.
Knit it once, never knit it again. Because you know how to modify that shape
Mm.
to your body. So go ahead and modify that shape. This is why we never knit pattern. Like that's the big problem
Mm.
is once you know where to tweak, like is this knit to pattern? In the fact that I knit a top-down raglan, yes, this is knit to pattern. But are there subtle things that you
Mm.
do? Yeah. So like I know that I like to leave an extra stitch hanging out here and here that I cast on and pick up without it existing in the fabric this way. So there's actually an extra stitch hidden in here on each side, and it closes that little gap. But doing that is not really easy to learn because you have to know where that little gap forms on your knitting.
Mm.
So Love Note is a really useful learning tool for us to learn how to fit something the way we want it to our bodies because it's quick to knit. And
Mm.
I don't know about you. I almost never reknit things. It's a like I don't usually have
No,
time.
you have other people do that for you, darling.
Yeah, true. But I'm gonna reknit something this year, and I'm gonna knit the exact same size, just in a different yarn, because I'm gonna knit myself a new rose cardigan.
Oh,
And
yay.
I got some very just just a quick little kit for it. It's gonna be great. And I'm gonna do this as a compare and contrast, so we can also talk about yarn substitution because this is the original yarn for the rose cardigan, and my first one is knit in a substitute yarn. So with this, and I'll make sure that I have it done in time, at least for Wolf. It's so hard for me. Wolf Fest. I don't know why it is so hard to remember which one is which. I attend both events every year. Margaret, Rebecca, if you're watching, I love you both, but like it does my head in. It's not you guys, it's me. But what I'm gonna do for all of you guys watching from home, I'm gonna get this second one done for Wool Fest, and I'll bring them both with me so that you and I can get some photos together with both of us wearing one, so that
Yep.
we can show you what we're talking about. I think one of the things that people don't get to see enough is significantly different bodies wearing the same thing.
Mm.
And so one of the big strengths about Love Note is so many people have made them.
Yeah.
Like, so you can go find someone who looks just like you, find out what they did if you like what it looks like, and knit it. Or you can join me in this very same rose cardigan adventure. More details to come on that.
Oh. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, just quickly before we go,
hit
Flocktober.
me.
Flocktober. What's
Flocktober.
Flocktober? For those that want to do Flocktober, what do they need to know?
So what you need to know is the 3 big categories and the 3 spot prizes. So our categories for submission, everything is by email to make it easy for people. So there's no Facebook, there's no Ravelry, it doesn't matter where you get this done from. All you have to do is take a picture of your final project and send it in to me. So we need a picture of the day that you cast on and a picture of the day that you finish. And that's just going to getflockknitting@gmail.com. Now, Delene, you're evil. Now, when you're getting ready for Flocktober, we have, we have 3 categories that you can enter into. So one of those is Alicia Plummer, the prize. I've been talking about her. The other one is anything crochet, anything
Oh,
at all. So
yay.
crochet whatever you want. Well, I feel like crocheters are not getting enough love. So
And
this year we're
Emily
doing
is a fabulous crocheter.
She is. And someone at one of our knit groups has just made something that on paper, I must admit, if someone had described it to me, I would have said, no, never, don't do that. Now that I've seen it made, I wouldn't wear it, but I can see the appeal of it. So all crochet. In category 3, here's something I prepared earlier, is the Westknits Mystery Knit Along. I know, surprise everyone. I'm piggybacking on Stephen's thing. So I'm doing my Westknits Mystery Knit Along in a kit from the gorgeous Katrine with her even more gorgeous yarn. And you're not ready because we're about to show off some Ethan color evolution live on screen, everyone.
Ooh.
What? We're going in a new palette direction.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I'm kind of just leaning into this 70s vibe that I've obviously got going on here. Please ignore the Jeffrey Dahmer glasses. And just running ahead with this whole muted, pinky, rosy, orangey color palette. No one does depth with kind of this playful sense the way Katrine does. And I have seen so many great MKAL shawls in her yarns. They seem to really suit his current direction. So I just got Katrine to whip me up a quick custom kit because she is a blessing. And she's coming down for a pop-up. So this is what I'm doing for the MKAL. If you're doing the MKAL in any yarn that we sell, so the only 2 rules for Flocktober are to do something from one of the categories or from one of something I'm going to explain, and use yarn that we sell at the shop. If you got it somewhere else, that's fine. Anyway, no comment from the 70s child. I think Margaret is scarred. So yes, so that's the plan on that front. And so you can jump in on anything, have a look at Alicia's patterns. You're going to find something you love. You're going to have the best time. We have a whole bunch of events. We've got a needle tasting coming up. We've got, it's busy. We've got a needle tasting, a whiskey tasting, hopefully at the same time. No, I'm kidding. Needles, whiskey, Katrine. That's on the 14th, the 7th, and the 21st. Then I can't remember what's happening on the 28th, but something, I have a whole schedule of events somewhere. And we're doing weekly lives in the Flock Online, which is just theflockonline.co.nz. If you want to join our online community, come hang out. And we're doing that from 9:30 till 10 every Sunday for the whole month. So we can all check in and just talk about the joy of Flocktober. Then we have 3 spot categories. So most improved, you're going to get a bunch of flowers from our good friend Jasmine at Bunch Floral. Number 2, biggest risk. So the biggest risk taker is in it to win it for a Yeti product.
Oh, I can so see. There is someone that I know that you've got down there. I can so see her being right all over that. Yep.
Yeah. And my personal favorite, Miss Congeniality, for the person who best exemplifies the spirit of Flocktober. Now, what does that mean? I haven't defined it. Good luck. I'm just going to pick what I want. Surprise, everyone. But it's all about just like getting everybody involved, having more fun. Yeah. I know that, like, look, we're here to provide fun. That is actually our main goal. And we know that sometimes all over, both Maree and I talk about this a lot, that fun has become a dirty word. And we're not into that. And that's kind of just our speed. So come hang out, enjoy Flocktober. It is going to be a party, that's for sure.
Awesome.
But yeah,
Oh, and Kathy, bless her heart, has just gone and popped a
yeah.
little list in there for people. So yarns that included in Flocktober: Wild Earth, Hedgehog Fibres, Spin Cycle, Kiwi Yarna, Yarn Floozy, Burnt Hill, Vespers, Cashgora, and Outlaw Rebel. And
And
despite what people say, there is no Skeinz yarn in there. Stop it.
no,
But that's okay, because that's why
although,
we're doing our own. He's more
exactly.
organised than I am in terms of prizes. I just know that I want to send out lots of stuff, and I've got lots of
Well, I
little
mean,
quirky.
saying that, I do have that Otomatato station yarn,
Oh, it is
which you
lovely
could
though.
also use.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
We milled that. It is so beautiful. It is so beautiful.
it
That,
is
yeah, it's
gorgeous.
lovely. If you saw that at can, it was just gorgeous. It was so nice. I had it. It was
Mhm.
funny because that was one that whisked out the door before I got to see it
Yeah.
finished. It was so nice to.
Oh,
So lovely.
it's
Really good.
one of those great things where it was a perfect spin on a perfect fiber,
Yeah, yeah.
and you just get that sometimes.
Oh, you do. You do. It's really
Yeah.
good. All right, my friend. Well, we need to probably let everyone go. We've been yabbering far
Mhm.
too long. We'll do this all again next month. And actually, we'll be able to have an update with Flocktober and the knit-alongs, and that will be fun
Yes.
as well.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that would be,
spoilers in advance, everyone. I'm gonna be
I
showing that
know,
shawl.
that's so good. All right, well, you guys all have a great weekend. I'll be back here on Monday, and you will be doing your thing on Sunday.
I'll be there on Saturday, so pop on in if you wanna watch the
Woohoo.
podcast. It's no longer live, so you don't have to be there at the set hour. You can just pop in and watch, make yourself a cup of tea. This definitely doesn't have Aperol in it. Um, and we will see you guys soon.
Woohoo. See you then. Bye.
Bye.